Hello, and welcome to another episode of Perspectives from the Informed Perspective. We're Penny and Jenny, and if this is your first time tuning in, we're so glad that you're here. This podcast is a space where we explore what it means to build strong, thoughtful communities grounded in our local lives and enriched by diverse perspectives from around the world. We believe meaningful change starts with listening, really listening to voices and experiences that challenge or expand our own. Today, we're exploring the subject of care. Care is the foundation of human survival. From the moment we are born, we are vulnerable and dependent on others to meet our basic needs. Beyond survival, we also crave love, attention, and affection. A community can only truly thrive when its members care for one another, not just considering their own needs, but also the needs of others. Care is part of a cycle. When we help others, it often encourages support and kindness to be returned, creating stronger connections and a healthier society. The Oxford English Dictionary defines care as the provision of what is necessary for the health, welfare, maintenance, and protection of someone or something. On an emotional level, care is about genuinely feeling for someone. It's when another person's happiness, safety, or well-being truly matters to you. But care isn't just a feeling. It's reflected in what you do. You listen, you help, you comfort, and you show up even when it's difficult. On a broader scale, care connects us as a community. It's the belief that someone else's joy or pain matters, even when it doesn't directly affect our own lives. And then there's self-care, giving yourself the same kindness and gentleness you would offer someone you love. At its core, care is noticing, valuing, and acting with kindness for yourself, for others, and for the world around you. The word care comes from Old English caru, meaning sorrow or concern, reminding us that care begins with noticing that something matters. Across cultures and time, care has been central to being human. In ancient Greece, the care of the self encouraged tending to your inner life as a path to living wisely. In Confucian thought, care, or ren, starts in the family and ripples outward, holding society together. And in Buddhism, compassion, karuna, is about feeling another's suffering and wanting to ease it. Even modern philosophy emphasizes care. Morality isn't just about rules, but about relationships, empathy, and attentiveness. Caring is simple in word, profound in meaning, and essential to our shared humanity. These values are lived out by people who care. They turn concern into action, often quietly, often without recognition. They care for children, parents, partners, friends, and even strangers, supporting the physical, emotional, and social needs of someone in need, whether in a home, hospital, care home, or community setting. Being a companion in care is both a huge responsibility and an act of immense compassion. It goes beyond helping with daily tasks. It can include administering medication, monitoring health, and providing emotional support. Behind the scenes, caregivers might also cook, clean, shop, organize appointments, and make sure life runs smoothly. All the while, they ensure the person they care for is safe, supported, and respected, and their dignity always front and center. The work needs empathy, patience, communication skills, stamina, observation, and ethical boundaries. Many don't choose this path. Life circumstances place it in their hands. Family carers, young carers, and community carers all reflect the timeless values of empathy, responsibility, and commitment to others. Caring out of necessity can be overwhelming. Emotional strain, physical demands, and social impacts make caregiving challenging. Many providers sacrifice personal time, education, or career opportunities. Recognition and support are often minimal, yet their work sustains families, hospitals, and communities. Even when care isn't chosen, it remains morally significant. What matters most is the dedication to another's well-being. As societies face aging populations and shifting family structures, supporting those who provide care for others becomes not just a matter of fairness, but a cornerstone of community health. Caring connects us, sustains us, and defines us. It's the act of noticing, valuing, and responding with kindness for ourselves, for others, and that world around us. cares more than a feeling. It's a practice, a commitment, and a powerful force that strengthens our shared humanity. I wanted to start with some voices on care before we introduce our guests today. First is Leo Buscaglia in his book Love. Too often, we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. S.E. Hinton from her novel That Was Then, This Is Now. Nothing can wear you out like caring about people. Taylor Jenkins Reid, the American novelist, in her book The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, it costs so much caring, I didn't have any currency to spend on it. Karl Lagerfeld, the fashion designer, don't sacrifice yourself too much, because if you sacrifice too much, there's nothing else you can give, and nobody will care for you. Amy Harmon from her novel Making Faces. Caring about someone doesn't mean taking care of them. Rachell E. Goodrich, being bold, quotes poetry and motivations for every day of the year, said, "Face it, nobody cares. But so what? The apathy does not diminish your worth. Learn from it, make it your job to care for those around you so they never feel like no one cares." Mother Teresa, The Joy in Loving, A Guide to Daily Living, never be so busy as not to think of others. And Preston Norton, in his novel Neanderthal Opens the Door to the Universe. It was in that moment that I realized something about human beings. We always care, even when we don't care or don't want to care, or we've been broken beyond the capability of caring. We always do. It's our ultimate infallibility. And Claire Shaw from her poetry collection Straight Ahead. What I'm really saying is, in the end, we all turned to each other, carried and held and helped each other, gave what comfort we could to each other, thrown over and over back to each other. What I'm really saying is, our ability to care for each other, to stand with each other, is all that we have in the end. And Ebony Ivany Green, Journey Beyond the Yellow Brick Road. There is no normal caregiving situation in which everything goes just as planned. You do the best you can with what you've got, and you know what? That's good enough. So, to help us explore care in more detail today, we have two incredible guests joining us. So, Jenny, I'd love you to start the introductions.
Thank you, Penny. Yeah, we have two wonderful women today who've gone above and beyond their own experiences to really continue that care and make sure people, have access. So first up is Rachell Dumas, is a registered nurse, mental health advocate, nurse informationist, and founder of A Light After 9, a non-profit born from her personal journey through loss and healing. After enduring 9 pregnancy losses before the birth of her son, Rachell transforms her pain into purpose, creating spaces for women and families to speak, heal, and rebuild through storytelling, journaling, and advocacy. She is also the creator of Advocate RX, a health technology initiative designed to help patients navigate medical systems, report harm in real time, and advocate for equitable care. With nearly a decade of experience in critical care, informatics, and patient engagement, Rachell bridges clinical expertise with community empowerment. Her work has been featured in Essence, Women's Health, and The Bump, and she continues to use her voice to challenge systems, amplify patient stories, and inspire change in maternal and patient safety nationwide. And Kristi Horner is the founder and executive director for Courage to Caregivers. Kristi is certified for the Ohio Department of Behavioural Health as a family peer support specialist and an NAMI Ohio trainer for this program. She is also certified through the Ohio Chemical Dependency Professionals Board as an Ohio Certified Prevention Specialist. Kristi is a Question Persuade Refer QPR Suicide Prevention Gatekeeper Instructor. In 2014, she lost her brother to suicide. She had been one of her brother's mental illness long-distance caregivers for 4 years. He lived with depression, anxiety, and obsessive-compulsive disorder. As someone who supported someone she loved very much with living with mental illness, she knew there had to be a better way to support caregivers of those living with behavioural health needs, and the idea for Courage to Caregivers was born. So let's get discussing this topic that impacts us all every day.
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, we're going to talk to Rachell today. I just want to say first out that before we do, I mean, you're both amazing people, and very excited to hear really where all your energy and power comes from. So Rachell, you have said that mothers want a voice in their care. I would like to know more
Absolutely.
about your own powerful backstory behind that, which inspired you to turn your own personal loss into that care mission for others with your non-for-profit. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I had 9 pregnancy losses prior to finally having my now almost 3-year-old potbelly baby, who is really the light after 9. In addition to just overcoming a tumultuous pregnancy journey, which is also a light after 9. That pregnancy journey was filled with medical gaslighting, dismissiveness, racism. It was a lot. And I spoke the language, but I was a trauma nurse at the time. I was not a maternal health nurse at the time. So I couldn't advocate for myself the way I needed to prevent 9 losses. And I didn't oftentimes have the healthcare providers who gave me all of my options, who would listen to me, who believed me, and who would just take the time to really understand where I was coming from as far as my advocacy measures, or my attempts at advocacy. So it led to 9 losses. There were times where I flew from Atlanta, which is a huge city, and has many amazing hospitals here, to Dallas, Texas, to try to save a 20-week pregnancy, where a doctor put in what's called a cervical cerclage, which is a suture around my cervix to prevent the baby from falling out, as I was diagnosed with cervical insufficiency. She refused to see me before my next appointment, which was 7 weeks after she put that in, despite of me already having 5 losses. I tried to advocate for myself to be seen earlier, and she refused, and the cerclage failed. And I went to Texas to another doctor who rolled out the red carpet for me and was at my bedside at 3 a.m. and 1 p.m. and 12 p.m. and 9 p.m. So it's just different levels of care that I experienced, and um, I wanted to, once I was done being pregnant and took my hiatus from pregnancy for a year and 8 months, I wanted to give back to those who are still in that struggle. And people silently are in that struggle. And I was made aware of that after going through my own journey. And I wanted to give them all the things that I wish I had, the things that I did have, and the things that I didn't have access to, which was being able to vet providers that we need, being able to have maternal mental health resources. Therapy was pivotal for me throughout this journey. I wouldn't be a mother without it, including hypnotherapy. So even trying different types of therapy, uh, EMDR, I'm so sorry. Different ones were pivotal for me. I had to find which one would work. Um, Grants. Bills are expensive in the United States. Like, we're suffering healthcare. I'm still paying off from babies from 2020 that I've lost. That I don't even have with me, and I'm paying those bills. So just making sure other moms have the funds to be able to go through this journey, and IVF, and other types of fertility journeys, surrogacy. And just putting on the education to empower them to advocate for themselves, speak up, to give them the education that they can effectively advocate. So that's what we do, and that's all the things that I wish I had throughout my journey, and including just somebody who's been there, done that, to turn around and be like, "Let me help you go through this."
I can't even imagine what a journey that has been. And what I want to ask you is, where on earth did you find the energy to then want to care? You didn't have the care yourself that was offered to you. So
Mm-hmm.
where did you find the energy to make that your mission to care for everyone in the same
Well,
situation?
I took a hiatus. Like, I took a year and 8 months off. Like, I came up with all this on my birthday, um, which was a year and 8 months after I gave birth. And I was like, what do I really want for my birthday. It wasn't anything that was really tangible for me, like a gift. It was just like I really don't want anybody else going through what I went through. This was very hard on me, and even interrupting the bonding between me and my child once he got here. I just knew he was gonna die. Like he could not tell me any different. And it took like a month for me to bond with him. Like I had a nurse-patient relationship, which luckily I'm a compassionate nurse, for a month, until I gave myself permission and using therapy, of course, to really accept that he was going to stay here, after that experience. But I really wanted to give back and to turn around and reflect on what happened, because it also became a blur. It was like, what did I just go through? When you're going through 4 years of infertility and trauma, medical trauma and all, I had 12 doctors, multiple hospital stays. We're talking about thousands of dollars. I probably could be in a Bugatti by now if I wasn't paying hospital bills, like it's so much. So when I was able to really reflect, I was like, it will make me feel fulfilled to prevent this from happening to somebody else. And I have the knowledge base and the tools and the experience, the lived experience, to be able to turn around and give this to those who are in this struggle.
And Rachell, I just, as well, you speak so candidly and honestly. And I think that's, you mentioned the education and the knowledge, and it's, without these conversations and hearing this, other people do. And you said silently struggle. You just think, oh, it's just me. From the bonding when the baby's born to how you're meant to deal with, get over, in quotation marks, pregnancy loss. There's so many elements, even the finances, that basic kind of, need, and which actually isn't, people must think, oh, everyone else must do this. It's that, perception. And until someone like you speaks so openly and candidly, I think it's where the real power is. And that's,
Yeah.
talking about your birthday and what you wanted, but you're actually giving the gift outwards, and it's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
I think the thing though with motherhood as well, it's such a different thing because when you walk into it, you don't have, you've got nothing to compare it to, do you? So you're not even sure what care it is that you're going to need anyway. It's just such a new territory that you're going to. And I think that's often the problem, that when something does go wrong or isn't going the way you want it, you don't know what the measurement is for that or what you're meant to do. So I think that advocacy then is huge because you're offering that support, I guess, ahead of that. I mean, you supporting mothers while they're pregnant and families before they have their babies.
Absolutely. So there's a few caveats, right? I'm a first-time mom, and all of this happened. So to try and get pregnant for 4 years, and this is my first baby, it's insane. I mean, it's insane. It's just insane. So it was just a lot to navigate because we're sold the fact that we're gonna, get pregnant, eat some pickles, get some ultrasounds, and show up 40 weeks later at the hospital and give birth, and that's it. That's what we're sold. And to start the journey, and it's not like that. Matter of fact, it's the opposite for me. It's scary to go through. So not only is it not talked about candidly, it gives us this false idea of what it will be like. So I do a lot of public speaking, even with the brain surgeries this year. I've done 40 speaking engagements. And I actually just did one yesterday with Emory Healthcare. They had a health equity summit. I've turned my pregnancy journey into an interactive case study where each pregnancy is presented as a patient, a scenario where the audience scans a QR code and they vote on what the care option should have been. And we navigate my pregnancy as if it's a patient. And then I later reveal that this is my story. And it always moves people. I do believe storytelling is a huge catalyst for change, more than any statistic or metric could ever do. And it really awakens something in people, healthcare providers, people in quality, people outside the hospital, other patients, people who are literally going through it themselves, to say, you know what, if she can do it, I can feel empowered and speak up for me. So I made it my point to also share my story, which is a very difficult story to tell, so that others can feel empowered to share their story and take ownership that, this is my story, but it doesn't have to be the ending, that it doesn't have to end like this. And I think that's so important too, because it's making even political changes. I went to Washington, D.C. in May. And I tell our representatives and our senators this story, and to see their faces is just priceless. It sparks things in people. It inspires change. So yeah, I feel like it's slowly changing the way people look at pregnancy, and also because womanhood is so tied to motherhood. There's this societal expectation that all women would become mothers. So there's another layer of pressure that is a whole nother conversation where we have to change that, because not every woman can become a mother or wants to become a mother.
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, another part of your work, I guess, is not only, supporting, but also helping people to self-advocate for themselves. How do you go about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one, through education, you cannot self-advocate if you don't know what you don't know. That was my issue throughout my pregnancy. Yes, I was a registered nurse. And I'm very upfront about I suffered and I was a nurse. And I am a nurse, not was a nurse. I'm still a nurse. But it doesn't mean that I know everything in healthcare because I'm a nurse. I wasn't a maternal health nurse. I wasn't a labor and delivery nurse. So I was just textbook by definition, like ignorant in this specialty. So I was really dependent upon my providers to give me all the information I needed. When I was doing consent for the procedure that I had to get in order to carry a baby, I was dependent on that provider to give me all my options, and that didn't happen. It's just a very vulnerable place to be in when you have to solely depend on your healthcare providers to help you, or to completely help you navigate your healthcare journey. And if those providers do not give you all your information that you need, or not listening to you, or gaslighting you, or don't believe you when you are bleeding and have excruciating pain, and they keep sending you from the hospital, and you know it just causes loss, and for me it was 9 of them. So what I do is I do a lot of education with our members. I let them know, what are red flags with providers, with hospitals, what you should be looking for on your hospital tours, before you get pregnant, preconception, what types of tests you should ask your providers for, what does a preconception appointment look like, what's your conversations with your doctor feel like, what kind of relationship should you have, what's meaningful to you, doulas, why you should have one, a midwife versus a OBGYN. What do they do? What are all the different roles in the hospital and birthing centers? And what about home births? All of these things that people just don't know about. We give that education so they can make informed decisions about how they want their pregnancy journey and their births to go. And if it doesn't look like it should, what to do then? I'm really big on encouraging couples and even individual therapy prior to getting pregnant, because I could have never fathomed that this would be my story and that I would be talking to you today. Like I said, I thought I would eat some pickles and ice cream and just I have a baby, but here we are.
But
So
that for me also, that reminds me as well, a bit like the menopause. It's the same kind of chapter in your life where we all kind of go headlong into it and we have no idea what it is, and it affects like so many of us. And yet, like
yeah,
you said, pickles and ice cream, like that is so far removed from the truth. How many of us actually did just have pickles and ice cream and wanted it?
right.
And that just amazes me in this day and age that we're still sort of having those conversations and not
Mhm.
having that, where you think we all have that knowledge, but somehow we don't, right?
We
Well,
don't. We
um,
don't.
and actually, when you were talking about the doula, that was fascinating because I mean, I'm an absolute advocate for doulas because I've had three children, and I had a doula for every one. And I would pay millions of dollars to have them time and again. But on my first birth, actually, and that just shows the system, this was in Germany, but we had the midwife from the hospital fighting with my doula, and then the medical staff come. Yeah, it was insane. So the doula was saying one thing, which was basically the wishes that I, previously said this is what I wanted, whereas I had the midwife on the other hand saying, no, no, you can't do this. And they were actually fighting in the delivery room. Yeah. So, I mean, that was insane. But I mean, yeah, doulas 100%. But that just shows that's just some of the politics or the finer things that I never imagined I would be in a delivery room and people be fighting over what they were going to do with me. And I wasn't even
Yeah.
their last, That's
Right.
just a tiny snippet of someone's experience. And every experience is so, so different.
That is so unsettling to give birth after hearing an argument about you in front of you. It's just like, okay.
Yeah. But not necessarily knowing that you can have a doula, and actually it doesn't necessarily have to cost a lot of money, and actually, but it might be a huge investment for you that would be, highly valuable. Absolutely. Amazing.
It was
Kristi,
our first online conversation, wasn't it, Penny? Doula background professionals. Before we'd stumbled into the podcast world, our first conversation was about doulas. So nice link. And I love as well, Rachell, the way you talk generally, but also like, it's about educating, but that sometimes like can feel, but caring about what's going to happen to you or what could happen to you or someone you care about, like having that kind of selfishness or focus, not hyper focus, but dedication to something. And it's okay to yeah, I'm going to start talking business language now, but scenario plan or whatever, but it's okay to want to know stuff. And I think people have worry about like the label of self-absorption or selfish or just self-centered, and I think that puts a lot of weight on people. People's time's precious, I don't want to ask too much. I don't know the answer. I don't want to spend time. I'm not going to spend the time because I probably should know that answer. And there's a lot of this weight we all carry in terms of what we should know or what we should do. And I think it's actually like, no, just if it's something new, if it's a new experience, ask those questions, learn, look at everything. You can discount as much as you want or take on as much as you want, but actually like it's you or someone you care about or responsible for that's the most important person.
Right. But the other caveat is that no pregnancy is the same. Like everyone is different, right? So even if you're on number 5, that can be completely different than 1 through 4. So I always tell my the patients that we work with, your healthcare provider, yes, is the expert in their field, but you are the expert of your body. There was one pregnancy I went to the ER 8 times for bleeding and excruciating abdominal pain, and they sent me home 8 times. It was a twin pregnancy. I lost the first baby at 13 weeks and 3 days. And I knew something was wrong. And I kept going. And I went to the OB. I kept going to my OB, and they kept sending me home. The ultrasound looks fine, but something's not fine. And after I lost the first baby, the symptoms went away. But 2 weeks later, I woke up wet, went to the bathroom, and the baby fell out in the toilet. Just like that. So it's like, it just doesn't matter if, I had 1 miscarriage or 5. Like, you still have to advocate for yourself, speak up. And the other thing I found too throughout my pregnancy journey, even this year, just 6 months after I finally gave birth, and I thought my healthcare trauma was over, and I was just like, yes, I got my baby, it's over, I made it through. I woke up blind. I just woke up one day, I was just blind, and I'm like, okay, this is, I didn't pay the light bill. Clearly there's a lot going on. But then I was just like asking my husband at the time, I was like, did we pay the bill? It's like late or something like that. He was like, what are you talking about? Like the lights are on. And I was like, oh my God, I'm blind. We need to go to ER. Like I'm having an excruciating headache. I'm vomiting. And my baby is 6 months. I'm exclusively breastfeeding. I'm terrified. I go to the ER and I'm like, I'm blind. We need to run a Code Cincinnati, which is a stroke here in Atlanta, like a stroke workup. I'm a neuro ICU nurse, so I know what I'm talking about. I was like, oh, I'm having a stroke. I'm having weakness. I'm falling down the stairs. I'm vomiting. I'm having a 10 out of 10 headache. I can't see, like something's wrong. And he's like, oh, there are other patients who need CT scans before you, and some of the machines are down. I was like, sir, I am like having a time sensitive medical crisis. Can you please order a CT scan and we need to go back there ASAP? And he was like, no, you're not getting a CT scan today. You probably just have a stomach bug. And he discharged me. I say I've never heard of somebody calling acute blindness a stomach bug in my life. So I went to another ER. They ran a code, and did CT scan, MRIs, all these things. 6 months later, I was diagnosed with a brain disorder called idiopathic intracranial hypertension. So out of the blue, fluid just builds up in my brain. I even had a primary care in between that time told me I just have bad genes. And I got the medicine I need. I was feeling great. But then this year, the medicine stopped working. I woke up blind again. And I had to have 2 brain surgeries because of that. Now, imagine had I not been able to speak the medical jargon. I didn't have a neuro ICU background. During this time, I also talked to like old coworkers, neurosurgeons, neurologists that I used to work with, and I'm like telling them what's going on. What do you think about this? So I can advocate. I know what I'm talking about, but I just want to hear from you. Do you have any other advice? You know, they're giving me advice. We looked up articles. We found an article that showed GLP-1 like Ozempic, but different GLP-1 showed to decrease the pressure in my brain in the first 12 to 24 hours. I started that, didn't have to have any more surgeries, and have since weaned off of my medicine for my brain. So all of that is the things we don't prepare for when we go into the healthcare system, right? Throughout both of my journeys, I just want to be a patient. But then we have to go in and we have to prepare for a fight to prove that we're sick.
Yeah, but I think again that, I mean, yeah, unbelievable journey, unbelievable. I mean, that you're there and looking so wonderful. It's just, you know, a wonder. But I think again, it also just goes, like you're saying, go to the hospital. If you think something isn't right, don't sit it out. Even if you do go and it isn't anything, at least you know, you check it out and you make sure. And if it is something and you think deep in within you it is, then go somewhere else and get it double checked and make sure that you can do that. Kristi, I would love to turn to you now. Can you tell us a little bit about your own personal journey as well, and how you became a carer and what inspired you to start Courage to Caregivers?
Yeah, and thank you so much, Rachell, for being vulnerable to share your story with such detail. It was just such beautiful and inspiring. And you're both a professional caregiver, right? Providing that professional support, being paid as a nurse to provide care, as well as now an unpaid family caregiver to your beautiful miracle baby, which I just love. So you've got both hats on, which I love. And I bet you've been a care recipient as well. I think every person on this planet, I don't think every person on this planet will have been cared for or provide care in their life, and some more than others. So I thank you for the opportunity, Penny and Jenny, to come and have this conversation about caring. It's something as equally as passionate as Rachell is from our own lived experience to have the honor and privilege of caring for someone. And yet it's really hard. I'm caring for a lot of people. I have my entire life, it turns out. The one caring relationship that had me realize that caregivers needed more support was actually caring for my brother. Up until it was May 2010, I was just, and I'm using air quotes for anyone who might be listening, just a daughter, just a mother, just a sister, just a partner just a friend. And I say that with tender, loving care, meaning I was doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing in those roles. And then my brother called pretty much out of the blue. He lived in a different state and basically shared that he was having suicidal thoughts and suicidal ideation. And I'd had enough training. I am a Stephen ministry leader in our congregation. It's a worldwide movement of faith-based support to support another person using your training to provide caring one-on-one, very much like our peer support that we do now to others. And so I'd had some suicide prevention training. So I knew enough to ask some really hard questions at that moment. And I was driving, I had to pull over and I asked him the really hard questions. And so I was able to do a little triage in the moment and realize, okay, he's safe, he's okay, he's with others. I checked with my husband on the side and he was able to get me to my brother in just a few hours. And I said, can you hold on till I get there and we can put a care plan in place? And he said, absolutely. Just saying it out loud, I feel so much better. Knowing that you can be here and be with me, I feel tremendously better. And we all took a collective deep breath and I made my way to him. One of my other sisters arrived the next day to support the family so that I could devote all of my focus on him. In that moment, as I morphed from just a sister to now that unpaid family caregiver, everything kind of changed because, and I won't say a power dynamic because it's not a power shift necessarily, but he was definitely powerless. He was the one in tremendous pain, mentally and emotionally, and looking for mental and emotional support far beyond what any sister is called to do. Far beyond what any sister is called to do. And so I literally shifted my entire relationship with him at that moment and became his primary mental and emotional caregiver at that time. We did get him counseling and therapy. We did get the family some help. What followed were 4 really long, horrible years. And ultimately, he did lose his battle with mental illness to suicide in 2014. And almost in that moment of losing him, just as Rachell shared her story of turning her pain into much greater purpose, that's a higher calling, if you will. My sisters and I, who were also very instrumental in supporting him over those years, realized that no one should take this journey of caring for someone else in this profound way alone. And that's exactly what you do. You feel very much alone. As a mom, even though my kids had far from the perfect trajectory, and I know you specialize in tweens and have tweens, and I certainly did once. It's far different, even when they're struggling or they find the challenges that people would ask me about my brother as when they knew I was struggling, but they rarely asked about me. And they rarely asked how I was taking care of myself. And so we launched Courage to Caregivers, our nonprofit, to better support the unpaid family caregiver. We launched originally with those supporting those living with behavioral health challenges. So that would be mental health or substance use disorders. And that remains our primary focus. But really, it's about the behavioral health, the mental health and wellness and well-being of the caregiver that is our primary why. Because when you provide care to someone you love, and it's a lot of, extra on top of what might be a standard caregiving, it can cause a diagnosis for the caregiver of anxiety, depression, and PTSD are the most common. But honestly, if they're not managing the stress of caring for someone they love, it can rob you of 10 years of your life. And we've seen this in research. Elisa Epel in California, University of California has done the research on this. And so we're here to help caregivers get those 10 years back because it's a staggering statistic. We help them better manage and cope the stress of caregiving because I can't remove the stress of caregiving. That's always going to be there. I'm still caring for a lot of people. I'm caring for a young adult son with a traumatic brain injury after an accident 6 years ago. He had to move home. I'm caring for 2 aging parents in a nursing home and assisted living. we've got a mother-in-law, my husband has an aunt. I mean, we've got a lot of people that we are providing care to. And yet that stress doesn't have to compound and build. I'm better at coping and managing all of that stress because here's why. And it's not about me. It may sound like it is, but it's honestly that flight attendant's message that says, put on your own oxygen mask before helping those around you. You only have 10 seconds of useful consciousness if you don't put on your oxygen mask, like my husband won't. I can tell you right now, he will not. He thinks he's going to save the whole plane and we're going down. And in those 10 seconds, I can help a lot more people if my oxygen mask is on. I also provide much better care when I'm taking care of myself. Because what happened in those 4 years of caring for my brother, I did not care for myself. My own health went to, it was not good. And I had to reclaim that health and wellness to provide better care to those that need me. And then what we have found through our 7 years of providing support to caregivers is that when caregivers become healthier and well, the care they provide is better. Their loved ones receive better care and start to become better, more healthy and well. So now we're creating healthy families. And now we're actually creating healthier communities because those healthier families are, like Rachell, contributing to the greater good in their community, giving back. And it's just this beautiful ripple of helping one person and the ripple effect it can have in creating this healthier world. And you started with so many beautiful anecdotes, Penny, but honestly, it's all about listening. It's about seeing people in their pain and not saying, ooh, that looks hard, goodbye. It's saying, I see you, I hear you, I feel you. I can't remove your pain, but I will sit with you in your pain. And I will be here by your side with your pain. I'll have good boundaries and I won't take on your pain, but I will see you, hear you, and be with you to navigate that journey, whatever that looks like. So that's what we do. That's how I came to be doing what I do.
Oh, beautiful, and such a hard journey for you as well. What I was thinking as you were talking, though, Kristi, was as a mother now, if I had something turn up for me, I don't have sister or brother, so it's just me. But if something came up for me now, and I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes, how it was having children at the time. At the moment, my biggest concern, number one, are my kids, right? Because they're young. And I'm thinking then if something else came up, whether it be my parents or whether it be a sibling or whatever, how do you begin to prioritize as well where you put that care? And you can ultimately be torn in every single direction. And I'm just wondering how on earth, what you advise for people who are in situations like that. How did you deal with that?
Yeah, I look at it now, and I'm not sure I did 15, was it 15 years ago? Just about. So, but now, as I look at it in reflection, especially what I teach when we have coaching groups as one of our programs. And so as we're coaching caregivers to better manage and cope with that stress, that comes up a lot, right? I don't have time for taking care of myself. I don't have time to do this. You got to start small. Is the first thing. We're talking micro. Everything in the pandemic went to micro goals, micro self-care, micro moments that build towards a healthier practice over time. So then when it becomes a healthier habit and practice, you do it without thinking. But to your question, Penny, it's about capacity. And I think of capacity as a sphere. And my capacity to care is finite. Now, there's a lot of things that are infinite. My mindset is infinite. My hope is infinite. My my positivity is infinite. And yet my capacity to care is very finite. There's only so much you have in each minute, each hour, each day. You break it into whatever unit you'd like. There's only so much of you to go around. Right.
Some
So
people have more. I mean, I'm guessing people do. There are people who have a greater
maybe,
capacity to care.
yeah, I think there could be. I think everybody does this differently. So the way I do it, the way Rachell does it, the way you and Jenny do it are all going to be very different. And there's, you've met one carer, you've met one carer. No single journey is going to be linear, and there's no guidebook to how to do it one or the right way. I use air quotes again because there just isn't. I have plenty of friends plenty of friends who are like, yeah, my parents are well cared for. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And that's just not how we've chosen to care. But I am fortunate to have two sisters, so we can share those responsibilities. I have an incredible partner. My husband's an amazing caregiver himself, so we share those responsibilities at home with our young adult son. We You might be a team of one, but that doesn't mean that you can't find others to bring into your support team. And then just being really clear on your capacity. So my capacity, even among the three sisters, as a great example, are very different. Two of us are working full time, one of us is working part time. Two of us, I happen to have a young adult son at home, a lot of extra. My dad lived with me for 18 years, like just a lot of extra. The one, kids are out of town. The other one, the kids are out of town. Two own businesses. I mean, there's all these different variables. So I prescribe, I do all the paperwork for both my parents. I can carve out 2 days a week to spend an afternoon or a morning with my parents. That's what I can give. That's what I've got. I've evaluated my capacity. Now, some weeks it might be three. Some weeks I might not feel well and it might be one. But two is my standard. I've got one sister who goes more, and I've got one sister who goes less. We've agreed before we started this with our parents, there shall be no judgment and no shame. Each person gets to navigate this journey of caring the way they want to. So you come to me, you want to support your loved one in this way. We support you in your goals. You get to define those. I'm not going to judge you on that because there is no one right way. And my way may not be, and quite likely, your way.
And the way you talk, Kristi, as well, it's like everyone's, all talk, we've spoken about individuals' experiences, and we are all individuals, we're all different, but it's actually like not even taking a moment, but taking stock of your situation, what you're personally able to do, comfortable to do. You mentioned boundaries, you mentioned prioritization, they're all really key. And I think it's that advocacy is not the right word, but that empowerment to be able to say, I want this, or I can do this, and this is how, and I will sit comfortable with that because I know, you've kind of, assessed it. And I think a lot of, for me, I care a lot, but like internally, I'm not necessarily a caregiver. Obviously I am to my young children, but just on above
to correct you, Jenny.
dismissing it already. But yeah, but I know that when I other people talking, and if they need help or support, I have to watch out when it's draining my energy, and I have to be quite strict with it. It upsets me to say this person drains my energy, but I have to, because I have to build that boundary and that structure within my relationships and my life and my day to day. And, you gave some wonderful examples of, just like the hours and the capacity and everything like that. And it's like we've got to, and, maybe it comes with age, but that's why we love doing the work that we do with tweens. It's like if you can start to share and inspire these nuggets of self-management and self-worth and confidence as well, because it's not, I touched on earlier about people think you're selfish. It's not that, it's your worth and then what you can give back. So
yeah, and I think also, and caring is also sort of often in many cases invisible. It's not necessarily appreciated or seen, right, by society. And I wonder then as well if there's that danger of resentment as well building up if you do it for long enough, and you do give up too much of yourself, whether there are other emotions then coming in. I think that's what you were sort of saying, that if you take it too far, it's not good for either person.
No, you all read a lot into that, and so yes to all of what you've both shared. I'd add one more thing, Jenny, to what you shared, which was it's about identifying what you need. And each of us on this planet, tweens included, what do you need? Not what do you want, but what do you need? Because I think that caregivers are horrible at asking for what they need. Sometimes it's because the question we're asked is wrong. Hey, I'm here for you. If there's ever anything you need, you just let me know. Well, I can guarantee you, if someone asks me that question, I'm not going to let them know. Because when it comes time, it does feel like a selfish thing.
Yeah.
Instead, we're trying to train the average person to ask better questions of people that look like they're struggling or in pain. So identifying what you need, I think, is one of those key things to identifying your capacity and helping with that process, Penny, that you started the question with. But it's also about building resilience. Because guess what? The common humanity, Penny, that you mentioned in the beginning, as human beings, we were never promised a life without pain. Rachelle's story dictates exactly, and I'm a person of strong faith. My higher power is a fair and just one, and I do not believe in the quote or the old adage that says, God only gives you what you can handle. Because if that were true, he's a very unfair higher power, and I just don't believe in that. But what I do believe in is that um, I'm going to fall. I've fallen. I've had a lot of practice in resilience. I'm very bouncy. I get back up. Sometimes I might fall down and like stay down there and want to give myself a little pity party, but I do not let myself set up camp and stay there, even no matter how fun and cozy it is down there. Get back up. I mean, it's going to happen again because it's called life. So building these tools of resilience within caregivers and the tweens that you're supporting and teaching them. I just listened to a Brene Brown podcast.
Oh, I love her.
I know she's my shiro, right? But she said we are not teaching kids that it's okay to fall, which includes failing, not finding success, not getting the thing, not getting the A, whatever that looks like. We're not teaching them how to get back up. I can guarantee you all are because I know you now, but that's what we're doing. We're like, caregiver, it's going to happen again. Let us be here to be with you. Let's not set up camp down here and then let's get back up again. Dust ourselves off and then learn from it. I'm a stronger, better person because of all that I have endured. Have I liked it? No. Much of it I have not.
And we can't escape it or protect others. I think that's so
No.
critical as well. It's like, yes, it's that, yeah, on we go, carry on with the roller coaster. I've kind of got this imagery, it's like back on the rails. Yeah.
And you might have parents listening, right? Because you support tweens that I read a great book when my kids were little, The Blessing of a Skinned Knee. And it's just like the title says. But our kids are going to fall down. They're going to get skin knees. But how many parents are like, oh, be careful. Let me wipe that up. You're okay. Let me kiss spend a lot of time looking at that pain and trying to protect them, as you said, Jenny. But honestly, the best thing we can do is let them figure out how to pick their own selves up. Because I can guarantee you when they go off to college, you are not going to be there to pick them up.
I also think we
You
often
want
think
them to fail.
Yeah, I often also think we've got everything under control and that we can manage everything. And all it takes is for your tomorrow to change and turn your world upside down. And every single person on this planet can happen to you, whether you're, I'm not going to say Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, whoever you might be, we're all going the same way. And at some point, something's going to hit you, right? And just that recognition as well. I think that,
It's the common humanity.
Yeah.
It's what brings us all in the same place.
Yeah.
We can be, oceans away from each other as we are right now, yet we will all share that. Our lives will not be free from pain. So how will we navigate that and how will we pick ourselves up? It takes all of us together to do that work. No one does that alone.
Right.
And that resilience you speak of as well, and we touched on it, but it's that self-care and finding your strength and making sure you've got the strength that I do believe is through that caring for yourself and focusing on yourself. That's really important. And also when people do ask you that question, oh, let me know if there's anything you need or how I can help. I've actually started saying, well, actually, you can. And, saying, oh, let's meet for a coffee because I need, maybe I won't say I need looking after or I need support, but it will come through as let's have a coffee because I need some time.
I love that. Good
And
for you.
I do think that's because, you do, your instinct is just to be like, oh, thanks, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, how are you? It's that classic question. If you really want to know how someone is, ask them twice.
100%.
You both turned personal loss into systemic change. What gives you both hope for the future of care, whether it happens to be maternal health or mental health or the broader culture of caregiving?
I think when I look at myself, not to toot my own horn, and Kristi too, it's just like, because we keep going, there are other people out there like that. And then there's people who just have not realized their own strength. Like, it's not just kids that we have to teach resilience to, it's adults that we have to show and prove resilience to. And I think just as a whole, we've been through so much. We had COVID-19, that took us out, that really, did something to us. It weighed on us tremendously. It was traumatic for us, like everyone. It's been so many things, especially in the United States, even right now, the political climate, it's weighing on us. And I think people are fatigued mentally, physically, financially, So I think I believe that when we share stories like Kristi just shared hers and I just shared mine, it reminds people of their own resilience too. I think we need reminders.
Yeah, and like resilience through vulnerability, that we can be vulnerable and that can actually be our power.
Yeah, I really do believe that we need reminders sometimes. Even myself, I've been through a lot, but every now and then I'm like, ooh, I don't know about this one. Like when I had the neurological issue happen 6 months after I gave birth, I thought that was it. I really did, because there's no way I was going through another set of years of medical trauma after I just came from a 4-year pregnancy journey. But we surprise ourselves and we persevere, and we have hyper resilience in these cases, and then we turn around and we give it to other people, and we remind them of who they really are. So it reminds me that we do have it in us. Sometimes we need to awaken it in each other. And I realized that through my pregnancy journey too.
I love that. And I'm going to build right on that, Rachell, 'cause I think we're saying the same thing, but for me, it's hope. It's the power of hope. And that when someone said to me within the first year or two of launching Courage to Caregivers that you demonstrate hope, and I was like, how in the world do I demonstrate hope? My story did not end well. And that was, an early caring story, but I just didn't see it for myself. And they're like, no, because you were in the depths of despair and you got back up again. I just didn't see it in that way. So then when I started treating myself and as someone who shows hope, it's instilling that in every person that I meet, that you are a caregiver, whether you're a professional caregiver or unpaid family caregiver or both, you are also a hope giver. And you have the power to give hope to others when they are feeling powerless and hopeless.
And we need that hope, right?
We do. And there's science. This is not a Kristi theory.
Yeah.
But we talk about being hope givers. And we do that in our suicide prevention work, but we also do that in our daily work. It's just, and when you can see yourself as a hope giver, nothing is impossible.
I love that.
But you don't see that when you're going through it, Kristi. Like you just said, it's like when somebody points it out in you, you're like, what else was I supposed to do other than keep going? Like,
exactly.
Did I really have a choice? Like, I didn't, I have chosen this life for me at all.
Maybe hope chasers is the right word.
Well, and we were hope seekers right after we lost our brother, so much so that we named our walk. We do suicide prevention walks every year, and we named our team the Hope Seekers because he had lost hope, and then therefore, because we were so enmeshed, we had lost hope, and it was in that aftermath is that we realized we needed to find it again. So yeah,
and I think
possible.
It's not always about, you can't make sense of these things, and it's like that's where it's like your fundamental core. And I want to like mentioned values here, and like you speak so strongly, you know, about hope, and it's like, actually, what is it that will keep you going? And actually, one of my values is care. I just remembered, I did that work. But yeah, but actually, it takes a bit of work, is why I'm sort of just briefly mentioning it. You don't just, you know, they're not just written on the side of your arm, your values. It's what really keeps you going and motivates you, and is the sort of shining light and in what you do, everything you do.
And surrounding yourself with other people who give you hope. I think that community, right? So you've got your own little energy, hope there, but you need other bubbles to help you keep your energy and your hope up. Right.
And not the energy vampires, Jenny, you were mentioning earlier, the ones that just kind of suck it out of you. But, you know, again, it's a Brene Brown thing. The top 3 values, Jenny, are your motivational values. So once you can identify those, and caregivers don't even see it that way, so we help them identify those. Those are the ones that motivate you to keep going. And it's likely shifting or changing.
I'd like to now turn to our tween question today, which is, I like helping people that I care about, but sometimes it's just a lot. Is it bad if I don't always feel like helping? Kristi.
Oh, you want me to go first? Okay.
Yes, I do.
Well, I think it's absolutely okay. As a matter of fact, if I'm not vulnerable with my peers, we do peer support one-on-one, we do groups where we're doing coaching groups, and I lead individual and group sessions all the time. If I'm not vulnerable and honest with myself and my group, they're going to call out a liar when they see it. This caring business is not all rainbows, unicorns, and sunshine. It can be really hard. So I love this question. I love that the tweens came up with this question. Great job, guys, because it is hard. And hard things, we don't like to do hard things. Our brain's hardwired for making sense of things. And sometimes we just can't make sense of what this relationship is about. What I will say is, and I often describe peer support in this way to kids. When you see someone in pain, it's best to acknowledge it, sit with the person, but that doesn't mean that you have to own all of the care that's provided to the person in pain. It's about finding all the people that can help and being really honest with that other kid that says, I see you, this is really hard. I didn't like to sit alone at lunch. I don't like to be the last person picked at recess. I don't like to be the one that wasn't invited to someone's party. Whatever the scenario is, acknowledge it, honor it, but don't feel like you have to own it, all the caring then yourself. Talk to your parents. Talk to Penny and Jenny, who are there to navigate all these great conversations with you. Seek support from a trusted adult. Talk to another friend, but you are never alone. And don't ever feel like you have to take on everything yourself, because it just can be so big sometimes. We've got to let others in to this. It's much easier to navigate this as a team. And I can guarantee you the person who's in pain, who needs your help and caring, is going to thank you. Now, we don't want, we've got to be protective of people, but of safety in relationships. So if someone tells you something in confidence, and yet if their own safety is in jeopardy, you have to talk to a trusted adult about this. So I want to acknowledge that there's a really fine line here of trust and protection and talking to a trusted adult. And I'm sure you all reinforce that all the time. But this is hard stuff. No one should do it alone. And it's okay to not feel like it, but you got to bring in someone who can when you can't. I hope that's going to help them navigate that.
Wonderful. And Rachell?
I love this question too, because everything that Kristi said, but also it's statistically proven that I'm a millennial, the generations before me have been like the workaholics. They'll stay at one job for 40 years, retire. They're very committed and loyal to different crafts and projects and jobs. And then millennials came and we're like, no, work-life balance, vacation, all these things. The generation after me is like, no. I'm not doing anything that compromises my self-care at all, you know? So I want to point out that when you get older, you become really bad at self-care, like really bad at it. You prioritize every other title, mom, wife, you know, husband, you know, sister, friend, your job, everything. And we tend to, as we get older, put the self-care priority at the bottom of the list. And it's so important as tweens to start these healthy habits of what that looks like, even young. Like burnout is so real. Even if we didn't work at all and we were committed to a project to making things better just in general, it's so important that we need to take time to listen to our bodies and replenish, especially in the work that we do. Kristi does a lot of amazing things. We all do. Like even myself, like when I realize I'm burning out after speaking engagements, talking to moms and parents and, you know, doing all these things, building an app, you know, like starting a new company, doing my doctoral work. I have to rest because I cannot pour out of an empty cup. And if I do, it's not going to be as good as when I'm pouring out of a full cup. I'm not really going to be helping that person. So I think it's important to highlight when considering this question, like just to really listen to your body. Are you burnt out? Like what is causing this? Like maybe you do need to focus on yourself too, so you can give the best that you can to others as well.
Yeah, I love that. Beautiful. Thank you so much to our guests, Rachell and Kristi, for sharing their insights and their stories and their wisdom on care and caregiving. Today, we've explored how care connects us, sustains us, and shapes our communities, whether through personal loss, professional advocacy, or everyday acts of kindness. To our listeners, remember that caring for others starts with noticing, valuing, and acting with kindness, not just for those around you, but also for yourself. It's okay to ask for support, set boundaries, and take a break when you need it. Care is a practice, a commitment, and a journey that we share together. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, and leave a review so we can continue to bring these important conversations to more people. We're Penny and Jenny, and this has been Perspectives from the Informed Perspective. Thank you for listening. Keep caring for yourself, for each other, and for the world around you. Until the next time, keep informing those perspectives.